Chapter 5. What is the Lightning Network? Direct answer: a method of conducting Bitcoin transactions off of the blockchain in order to decrease congestion. As we spoke about in the last chapter, the popularity of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general experienced a meteoric rise over the past several years. While the original intent has always been for large-scale mass adoption, practically speaking, there have been a few technological hiccups. The scaling issues that Bitcoin experiences has had two proposed solutions. The first being simply to remove the cap on block size, allowing more transactions to fit on each block. The second solution was to change the way transactions occurred. The idea was to change what information was stored on the block and to conduct the rest of the transaction off-chain. These two solutions caused the community to splinter, and about 95% of the community decided on the second solution. This path was known as SegWit, and the ultimate goal of SegWit was the Lightning Network. How does it work? LN, henceforth how I will refer to the Lightning Network, is often misunderstood, and quite frankly, for good reason. It is a conceptually and technologically difficult protocol to understand. Lucky for you, you have this book, and you will officially be more well-informed than your peers. Fundamentally, LN relies upon the idea: if a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, did it happen? I'm seriously not making that up. It's in the official white paper. Essentially, the creators of LN, Joseph Poon and Thaddeus Drea, foresaw the scalability issues that BTC would experience. Comparing BTC to the Visa network, Poon and Drea noted the astronomically large block size that would be required to handle a similar load. While Moore's law may indicate the possibility of this working in the future, they felt it important to mitigate this issue in the present. I quote, "The payment network, Visa, achieved 47,000 peak transactions per second on its network during the 2013 holidays, and currently averages hundreds of millions per day. Currently, Bitcoin supports less than 7 transactions per second, with a 1 megabyte block limit. If we use an average of 300 bytes per Bitcoin transaction and assumed unlimited block sizes, an equivalent capacity to peak Visa transaction volume of 47,000 transactions per second would be nearly 8 gigabytes per Bitcoin block, every 10 minutes on average. Continuously, that would be over 400 terabytes of data per year." Poon and Drea, the Bitcoin Lightning Network, scalable, off-chain instant payments. The above quote is a bunch of technical jargon that amounts to, "We're going to need a bigger boat." Effectively, LN opens up a private payment channel. Both parties agree to open this channel and put up a specified amount of Bitcoin each. Once the channel has been opened, the two parties are free to exchange with one another as often as they like. The initial wagered Bitcoin that opened the channel acts as their consent to exchange. These channels are what we call smart contracts. Once both parties agree to either end their payment channel, or if either party disagrees with the nature of the transaction, the channel will close, and the final net balance will be posted on the blockchain. In the case of a disputed transaction, the final mutually agreed upon balance will be posted to the blockchain. All of the transactions prior to the final ending balance are deleted along with the payment channel, and the last successful transaction is posted on the blockchain in the form of a final ending balance. LN would effectively act as a connection of indefinite payment channels, limiting the posting of transactions simply to the final ending balance. drastically reduces the amount of data needed to be stored and, consequently, allows for the network to scale. In effect, all of the transactions that occurred within the smart contract never occurred as far as the blockchain is concerned because no one was around to hear it. Is this safe? In the previous chapter, we briefly touched on transaction malleability. The theoretical weakness found in Bitcoin transactions would make LN incredibly insecure. Since a secondary payment channel is being opened, if an adversary were to alter the outcome of the final transaction, the payment channel has already closed, and the other party couldn't do much about it. This is why the push for SegWit was required. There is another security limitation, however. In order for the dispute feature to work, it would theoretically require all users to monitor the blockchain for fraud. This is of course never going to happen. As a result, they created what's known as watchtower nodes. Here's the thing. If you're entrusting watchtower nodes with the power to settle disputes, you've now just created a trusted third party. If you remember, the whole point of Bitcoin is to be a trustless peer-to-peer cash system. One could argue that this isn't quite the same thing as having a trusted third party because the nodes are within the Bitcoin network, and you would have a point. Who knows? This is one of those situations where only time will tell if this was a good decision for the protocol or not.